Are you looking to grow revenues, increase profitability, or obtain financing? If so, you came to the right place.
Running a business is all about leadership. How do you become a better leader? Learn from the successful entrepreneurs and business owners how to lead your organization more effectively. That's why we created Leadership Live at 8:05, Talking Small Business, to help you succeed with your host, Andrew Frazier, Business Growth Pro and CFO and founder of the Small Business Pro University. Every Tuesday evening at 8 p.m. Eastern, we're joined by experienced entrepreneurs and business owners who share their secrets to success via live stream. Also, every Friday morning, we release a new podcast episode. Either way, you will learn about developing your business leadership skills from our roster of highly performing guest experts. Leadership Live is one of the many valuable resources provided through the Small Business Pro University, empowering business owners to learn, profit, and grow. Find out more at sbprou.com.
Welcome to Leadership Live at 8:05. I'm your host, Andrew Frazier, and it's great to be back with you another week. A lot has happened over this past week, a lot of good things. I'm here talking to you from Savannah, Georgia. Last week I was in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, so we're getting a little bit of a world tour, or at least the East Coast tour, and great to connect with people. Each week we have a special guest. If you joined us last week, you saw that we actually did the best of. So we finished one full year of Leadership Live at 8:05, doing every single Tuesday night for 52 weeks. And had us celebrated that, but also last week we did highlights. So we did clips from many of the different shows, and people really like that. So we're going to actually, every quarter, we're going to do clips from all of our previous broadcasts over the quarter. So looking forward to that. Appreciate your feedback on it and glad that you enjoyed it. This week, like all others, we have a tremendous guest. I'm really excited about having our guest. Our guest this evening is Alfa Demmellash, and she is the CEO of Rising Tide Capital. And we're going to be talking about letting the entrepreneur in you rise. As business owners, as potential business owners, it's important to really not just survive, but thrive and figure out how to become more entrepreneurial and let the entrepreneur in you rise. Alfa started a tremendous organization. She has a great story, a tremendous journey. She's traveled very far in many different ways. And still has a long way to go. I mean, she's impacted so many people's lives and really set a standard in many ways for entrepreneur training and development. So let me bring on Alfa Demmellash. It's been great working with her over the years through Rising Tide Capital. And actually, she was great enough to actually write the foreword for my book, Running Your Small Business Like a Pro, as well. So without further ado, I'm going to invite Alfa to join us. Hey, Alfa, how are you doing this evening?
I am well. Thank you so much, Andrew, for having me. It's such a pleasure to be in conversation with you.
Okay, no, thank you for joining us. Taking time out of your busy schedule, out of your evening. I know you have kids. I know you travel, so you've got a lot on your plate. But it's great that you're willing to take a little bit of time out to share a little bit about what you do and insights and knowledge that could be helpful for entrepreneurs and business owners in the space.
My pleasure. Yes, as you know, that is my purpose and passion. And to the extent that we have the opportunity to share a few things that could be helpful, I am here for it.
Excellent. So, everybody has a journey, and many people's journeys span different things, but your journey has spanned continents, it's spanned language barriers, it's spanned really being able to create your vision Most people never ever in their lives are able to do something like that. So would love you to take a little time to really just introduce yourself and talk about where you're from, where you are, and where you're going.
Well, all big questions. And again, it's such a pleasure to be having the conversation. I am Alfa Demmellash, and I did start my journey in a far off place. I was born and raised in Ethiopia, and my mother had actually had to flee a time of conflict and become a refugee uh, about when I was almost 3 years old, so two and change. And she ended up in the US. So really for much of my life, I was actually raised in the family village of my grandparents and my aunt, who was kind of my primary caretaker in a time of tremendous change and anxiety, and loss. And then fast forward 10 years later is when actually my mom was eventually able to save enough resources and bring me to the US. So that's when we reunited. And my mother was a tremendous example to me and for everything that I'm doing right now at Rising Tide Capital. She was actually, the first entrepreneur that I met, arriving in the US. I had thought, my goodness, like it's the land of milk and honey. It's what most people who are living outside of the country are thinking of the US as, the land of opportunity. And we have, perceptions that everyone is kind of living this life, and a very well-off life. And arriving here, I actually learned a lot from seeing my mom and how hard she had to work, and her journey over the 10 years that we weren't together, of serving as a waitress and learning a new language, a new culture, and realizing very quickly that what she was making as a waitress was barely enough to help her, cover her basic needs, and realizing that she would have to do some things very differently if she was going to actually fulfill on a promise that she'd made really to herself, which is to reunite with her daughter, whom she'd left when I was very young. So it's that kind of grit, and seeing her having gone to school at night. She actually learned fashion design and created a company that made gowns and dresses for women who are looking for multicultural expressions of their new home in the US, as well as kind of their cultures from back home. And so she was bridge building in that way and threading communities. And she's still a huge community builder and a huge part of my inspiration in life. And so it's watching her create that business, or having created that business, and then seeing what it took to sustain it, and learning in a very hands-on way what it takes to be a community-minded entrepreneur. And so I credit her and her small business and really also just introducing me into this new culture in a way where I was also then connected to all of these people who are her customers, and people who wanted her gowns. And I felt very much oriented towards community and a way of being in this new country, because I think you alluded to it, but I did not speak a word of English when I came here. And so it can be very intimidating to be immersed in school, and where, I didn't have any ESL programs or anything. And so it could be very intimidating. But I think at the same time, coming into this new culture and having the community that my mom had built, in large part because of her business, that it gave me a sense of confidence that you can still do things, you can still be creative. So that's a little bit of my background. I eventually ended up in college, meeting my co-founder for Rising Tide Capital at Harvard, and then the journey of really asking that question of, what does it look like for me to activate my creativity and contribute in a way that could really hopefully shift other people's perspectives about what's possible and how we can create the kind of economy that can actually help unleash more creativity. So I've already spoken too long, but please make this a conversation, Andrew.
Okay, great. No, I appreciate you taking the time because a lot of things that you've done have been key. And really along your journey, you've picked up a lot of things and really developed a passion for helping people, helping business owners, and helping the small business owners, the micro business owners, because a lot of times they're left out. And given what's going on today, where there's a shift from employment to really the gig economy, where really 40% of the population may be freelancers and working on their own, but most of them are going to be woefully unprepared. And one thing your organization does is helps prepare people to understand what business is and how to do it more successfully. And so that's really important in this day and age. So what made you focus on small businesses and really put your passion and all your energy into really making that your really life focus at this point?
Sure. And I agree wholeheartedly that the world has changed, the economy has changed, and a lot of folks who are in the gig economy, who are freelancing, are entrepreneurs. They are figuring out how they're going to provide their time. They're in the service sector, their time often on platforms. And then, they really have a lot to juggle and manage, and it takes quite a bit to be successful doing that, and doing it in a way that actually also allows them to have a measure of stability and financial security. And so I think it is so important for us to really engage with this issue of small businesses and entrepreneurship and micro entrepreneurs, to your point. For me, my personal focus on this issue was both informed by my personal experience seeing my mom, but also realizing that the vast majority of people who are in communities of color, and even in Africa and the developing nations outside of the US too, those who are out there creating a product, inventing something, or starting a business are by and large those who are oriented towards being leaders within their community. And we often, may not think of leadership from that perspective, but really it's them that are collaborating to create an initiative, tackle problems that they're seeing in their own communities, and really creating value that is meaningful and culture. When we think about small businesses and main streets, and you could think about all of the places that we all love to visit around the world. And if it wasn't for, the little shops and the restaurants and the main streets that are lit up, and an arts festival with all those artists and artisans, it's where life and color and culture is. And those marketplaces, really, if we think of them in that way, of like all these individuals with all of their creativity and ambition, working to try to figure out a way to bring that creativity to life, they are the opportunity, really, from my perspective, to create more peaceful communities. And today happens to be the International Day of Business. And so, peace. It's the day of peace and business. It's like, how can we create more peace in the world through business? And I think, in many ways, that is very much the lens through which I actually ended up doing Rising Tide Capital. I ended up, studying in college a lot about wars and genocides and holocausts, and it's because, to me, it was of a huge point of interest to understand, why did my mom even have to flee her country? Like, why do we have refugees? Why do people move? Why do we have, wars? Was a very big question. I'm sure this is not unusual for most, college or university students. For those who are living through the 60s, and they would say, yes, we asked the same questions. So this preoccupation with, how do we create more peaceful societies, and reduce the level of violence? And my travels and studies took me to places like Rwanda, where we had very, very concrete examples. And back then, when I was going to college, the Rwandan genocide was very much a big, huge issue that we were trying to understand. Once we became aware of it, once we actually, I took one course in African studies, a professor who was actually honing in on, different countries across the continent of Africa. And we didn't have much time, but just reading a little bit about what happened in Rwanda really kind of oriented me to saying, what does it look like for us to actually engage with this issue from all the different dimensions? And where my heart kind of landed on was, at the end of the day, and I think, I don't want to reference Bill Clinton saying about it's the economy. There is something about how we deal with resources, and resources that we perceive to be critical for our family's security or our whatever group we're affiliated with. It is very much at the core of what's happening, that competition for resources, and they're going to come and take yours, and there isn't enough, becomes such a powerful motivator for the kind of violence that we see still very much active in the world. And so I felt like the call to action for my generation, and for those of us now who have so much information and data about how the economy works, how value is created, whether we actually need to compete in the ways that we've competed in the past, or whether there is actually a more collaborative approach about creating the kind of world we want to see. Those were the questions that drove me to entrepreneurship, and particularly the kind of place-based local entrepreneurs who are creating value in their communities, who are culture makers. But out of those is how also some of the biggest businesses have been built. Out of that kind of, whether it's in the garage or in the kitchen, an idea has to start somewhere. And some ideas will grow, and some ideas will be, without borders and global in nature. And many, many, many ideas and products and services will be grounded in their local community. And I think that the understanding the value of those who are grounded in their places and community as really being foundational to more peaceful, more productive, and healthier economies and communities that don't create the kinds of, that don't perpetuate the kinds of multi-generational conflict and injustice is I think there's tremendous opportunity to realize that through the energy and activities and entrepreneurship of individuals and communities.
Yeah, I mean, definitely, entrepreneurship is, a great way to, really close the wealth gap in a positive way. Here in Savannah, I'm at a conference, and, we had the mayor of Minneapolis speak a little bit, and she was saying how, entrepreneurship is like really the one issue that, you had that was nonpartisan, you had bipartisan support, and that, could be used to really make the greatest impact for people throughout the country and throughout the world. So, definitely, it's an engine for change and opportunity unlike any other. So, being able to support entrepreneurs and especially diverse and urban entrepreneurs, it's not only just about helping them, it's about, helping the community and really helping the country, because, the way, the worst of us is, that hurts everybody else. So giving people opportunities and the ability to develop is key.
Absolutely. And I've seen it, now with thousands of people and, the cohorts that we run at the Community Business Academy at Rising Tide Capital. And truly, I mean, you can bring people from all different backgrounds, all different ages. And if they're at all oriented towards, starting something, ideas, business, entrepreneurship, all of the other identities fall away, and people just get energized and excited to figure out, how do you bring an idea to life? How do you create something that's valuable and serves others? And so, held in the right container in the right ways, you can actually create the opportunity for people to be in relationship across lines of difference. And that's really like one of the biggest gets, because business is all about relationships, entrepreneurship is all about relationships. And when we encourage and invest in opportunities to bring people together across lines of difference, to build new companies, to create new value, we actually have a shot at not repeating the same history over and over again of division, separation, competition against each other. Instead, I think we have all the tools, we have a lot of know-how, and for those who are oriented and motivated to want to create something, they can do so in ways that have been, I think, extraordinarily, there's just tremendous opportunity to bring people together in that way. And it's not for everybody. Not everybody wants, to get together and brainstorm ideas for a business, so entrepreneurship is not for everybody, and there's risks attached, and you have to be an effective risk manager in many ways, and you have to be willing to learn and be totally curious. But you can also do that as an employee. You can also do that working for another business, and that brings us to a whole other level of what does entrepreneurial mindset look like, particularly from a perspective of leadership, and how even if you're not building your own company, you can also bring a level of entrepreneurial leadership within the companies that you work for, regardless of how small they are. And so I think it's shifting mindsets and perspectives that's very, very important as well.
Okay, well, you hit on a whole bunch of key things. So, definitely, there's a lot of meat in what you talked about, but, all the things are key. And, what I've found is, at the end of the day, your business can only go as far as you can take, or as far as you're prepared to take it. So it's really about preparing the entrepreneur and business owner to be able to move forward. And, they need to continually learn and continually develop. And that's, one of the things that Rising Tide Capital does. And also, I created the Small Business Pro University as a way to also just share knowledge that is valuable for entrepreneurs and business owners. This show is produced through the Small Business Pro University. So I'm just going to take a second, show you a quick video, and then we're going to talk a little bit about how Rising Tide Capital trains and develops and brings out the entrepreneur in people so that they can rise and be more successful. So looking forward to joining back with Alpha, and we'll be back after this quick video. Do you own your business, or does it own you? Is your business growing, and are you making enough money? As a business owner, there are so many things you need to know to become more successful. Hello, my name is Andrew Frazier, the Business Growth Pro and CFO. I created the Small Business Pro University for you. Small Business Pro University has self-paced, dynamic, multimedia learning experiences created by more than 20 instructors who are business owners just like you. Small Business Pro University will empower you to become a masterpreneur by learning the secrets to creating a successful enterprise, to go from working in your business to working on your business. Take advantage of our strategic coaching program or just simply choose the courses that you need. At www.sbprou.com, we will empower you to thrive and not just survive and make more money in any business environment. Welcome back to Leadership Live at 8:05. It's Andrew Frazier, your host, here with Alfa Demmellash, CEO of Rising Tide Capital. And we're talking about how to let the entrepreneur in you rise. Rising Tide Capital have worked with you guys for the last 5 years. You have a great training program through the Community Business Academy, but you don't stop there because, it's a journey and you actually take the journey with your entrepreneurs. So talk a little bit about what the Community Business Academy is and, how, let's start with that. What is the Community Business Academy and how does it work?
Sure. Thank you so much. Yes. The Community Business Academy is a core program of Rising Tide Capital. It's a 12-week program. We actually fundraise so that we can make sure everybody who applies, who has a great idea, who wants to activate, regardless of their resource levels, are able to participate. It's taught by those who have experience in starting and growing a business. And so it really gives you the foundational know-how of how to start and grow a business, and very much focused on managing a small business as well. There's a lot of courses and information out there around, writing a business plan or how to write a business plan. There are sample business plans. But where we've seen tremendous struggle and gaps has been actually learning how to manage a business and getting some of that core foundational know-how and wisdom from experienced instructors in an environment where you are, safe to ask all kinds of questions. And it's a very diverse environment, learning environment as well. Over 50% of the entrepreneurs who are in our Community Business Academy have not had the opportunity to attend a university. And so we are catering to different learning styles and very much grounded in understanding that entrepreneurs learn best by doing. And so it's highly experiential. And then it layers in just the kind of foundational information that you need to then take the next step, which is our business acceleration services, which really hones in on a more customized journey, partners with coaches like you, Andrew. Thank you so much for everything that you've done over the past 5 years, because it takes a village, because there are many, many different challenges that entrepreneurs face as they're starting to grow a business or formalize their business idea, and they need different kinds of expertise. And so that's when the coaching services come into play. There is also just partnering with different groups, so access to capital may become relevant at that point. And for us, the entire model is highly, highly collaborative. We don't believe in doing it all yourself. We're too small as an organization to try and meet all the needs of even just one entrepreneur. And so it's, they need accountants and bookkeepers, they need lawyers, some need HR advice. And so there is a host of also new technical, more technical areas like data and data analytics, or there's so much that entrepreneurs these days need to absorb. And so for us, it's about making sure that journey is manageable and meets them where they're at. If somebody's trying to do something that's very hyper local, or very, very niche in their industry, they may need something very different than maybe someone who's still on a broader journey of exploring their idea and doing a lot of R&D and research. So it's meeting people where they're at and not letting the language, so for some, it's like, and is this an MBA? And it's like, we shy away from that. We want to make this information as accessible as possible, not use intimidating language, break down concepts like cash flow and P&L. I mean, just those words alone stop so many people in their tracks from ever taking the first step. Because it just seems like only aliens start businesses, And so we want every mom out there, and also people who have been systematically denied opportunities, people who are, formerly incarcerated, who have done their time, who are out, who need to make a living, who need to support their families and get back to, serving their communities in the best way possible. This is a country for second chances, and this is a country that, and yet we haven't invested in the ability for folks to be able to get on that path where they may have more opportunities. So this is about making it accessible. So whether you're a veteran or somebody who is, a refugee new to our country, it's very important that you understand how the economy works, and and then you can make an informed choice. You can say, you know what, it's better to go work for somebody else, or you could say, hey, this is actually what I want to keep advancing, and it's a long-term proposition. This isn't about, a 3-month course and then you're done. This is about really making sure that we take the time to invest over the long term in the potential of entrepreneurs in our communities.
Okay. Yeah, no, definitely. One thing that Rising Tide does, and you do, and it's interesting, is I had my book, Running Your Small Business Like a Pro, translated into Spanish by a gentleman down in Colombia. And he was like, man, I wish I'd have read this 4 years ago. And he's like, we need stuff like this down here, because every single business is a small business. And, in the US, you sort of think of business as big businesses, but even in the US, most businesses are small businesses. And the dynamics are different. And one thing that's great is you do everything in Spanish language as well as English. And I don't think there are many organizations that do that at all, or if they do it effectively. So what made you do that choice, and how have you been able to be successful at that where many others have not?
What I can say for us is, when we make a commitment, we do it with eyes wide open. As somebody, who comes from a country like Ethiopia, where we have 80 languages, 200 dialects, it's so important to realize that language is not just, translating something on a page. It's also cultural, and it's similar when you talk about Spanish. It's not just translating a curriculum into Spanish. It's also having instructors and coaches who are also Spanish speakers, who can do more than just translating concepts. They can also interpret and make meaning in a way that that really connects to the entrepreneurial and the business journey of the specific cultures. And there's a lot of diversity within the Spanish speaking language community. There's so many different nuances to pay attention to. So it took us a long time to actually get the capacity and the know-how to do that. We have an incredible Spanish speaking, and bilingual team, and there is a commitment that when we decide to serve a specific community, that we do it well. And we still struggle. I appreciate you applauding our efforts. There's still long ways to go. There's still capacity constraints we have, and we want to just keep getting better and better at it. And there's tremendous opportunity. I mean, there is just so much opportunity to do incredible good, to unleash the creative forces of immigrant communities and Spanish speaking communities in particular. And your point is right that the vast majority, when we talk about equity and inclusion in this country and the economics around it, the vast majority of entrepreneurs of color are small, micro businesses. They're tiny businesses. And we can hope all we want about, we want growth and we want great jobs for businesses that are owned by people of color. But at the same time, we have to face the reality of where the starting point is, acknowledge the value of or what exists already, and actually try to walk a mile in their shoes. And once you do that, you realize how hard it is, and why it is that for those of us who are trying to do this was not just a business perspective, but also a community and social justice perspective, we have to realize that we have to start where the entrepreneurs are, not stand over here with resources and wait for them to come to us. We have to actually join them, roll out the welcome mat, understand their challenges. And for some, they'll grow and get on an escalator, and that's what they want to do. And then for others, there are very, very important reasons for why growth is not one dimensional. It's not just growth and scale, but perhaps they need to just grow to a place where they can be sustainable, where the owner and their employees can be actually well taken care of, so that they can do a lot of the other important things that they're usually trying to also get done in community. We have, entrepreneurs who are caring for elders while they're doing this. We have so many people now, in particular in the environment that we're in with COVID, they're also taking care of those who are sick and unwell, and childcare. So there is a lot there, and the social side of what it takes to do anything in the world has to be acknowledged, including what it means when we talk about entrepreneurship.
So definitely key to be inclusive, and excellent to serve communities, and to participate in Rising Tide Capital. You don't have to have a business. You have to be interested and want to work on having a business, but it's not a requirement that you have to start a business if you don't have one either, because even either way, you're creating capital for people in the community that they can use as their own business or support through employment, but be more entrepreneurial, because that's where everything is leading. So what is your biggest challenge in running and growing Rising Tide Capital?
I think a lot of business owners will agree with this. Probably it is creating, I could tell you, of course, accessing capital, marketing and communications, technology, all of these are shared challenges for sure. But I think internally and personally, it's creating a culture and an environment where those I work with are also thriving. You said this in the beginning, it's not just about surviving, this is about thriving, and creating that culture for fellow team members and internally, particularly when we're living through such a difficult time. That's a big part of the challenge, because you have to be focused on your internal and what's happening in your business, because without your people, without your team, all of the rest of what you want to do externally in the world is basically impossible. You need a team that can lead, that can see the different challenges, complement your skill sets. And so that's one of the biggest challenges. And many of our entrepreneurs and business owners who are at a point where they're hiring struggle with that, because HR, the compliance side, the team culture side, how you recruit, how you onboard, how do you develop and train your team, all of those nuances are extraordinarily challenging. And I know that a lot of small business owners who start hiring then go, oh my gosh, I have all these other things to do. How can I do this thing too? Rising Tide, can you actually do it for us? And we're like, oh, no, we're a small organization trying to also learn with you. And so there is definitely, that's one of the biggest challenges. And I will say that at the same time, it is a challenge, worth staying in the fight for. I think a lot of business owners, particularly right now, we hear about, people calling it quits at their jobs, and but also for business owners and small business owners in particular, there's so many challenges that it's a lot easier to just want to throw in the towel and say, you can't, like, how could you possibly do this? And so I would say that we share those very similar challenges. We're of course anxious about resources, and then just watching at the moment, statistics like 40% of businesses owned by people of color being permanently shuttered, right? It's like our kind of, it's like our Dunkirk moment, for those who are like into history and have watched the movie Dunkirk from World War II. It's like this is the moment where it feels like, yes, there could be big interventions. There is already, we're seeing relief and government relief, but there are also such tremendous challenges around how do you have those resources that could be getting piped in actually reach the communities, the entrepreneurs who are tired, who don't want to fill out yet another form, who are not necessarily aware of which grant opportunities or which business loan opportunities make sense for who they are and where they are. And so there's exhaustion, and we have to, I think, do everything we can to keep our motivation. And I'm working on that. I'm making sure that I, take the occasional run, meditation, because, if we're not sound of mind, it becomes easy to, give up or, think you can't do it anymore. And so I'll share that that's something that we took very seriously at Rising Tide. And March, 10th, as soon as the pandemic hit, we actually pulled our team together and we started meditation sessions, so morning and afternoons, just to give us a sense of structure. And it was facilitated by a team member. It's bilingual. It's still going on 18 months later. Every morning at 7:30 in the morning, we have bilingual facilitated meditation for folks to just get on and take a breath and reset and know that it's going to be okay. We got to hang in here together. And I see, one of our entrepreneurs is saying hello, and I'm excited. Pam, hi Pam, who's now on our team. So I also get to work with a lot of our entrepreneurs, which is my most highest pleasure.
Okay, excellent. No, I mean, definitely giving people opportunities is tremendous. You're doing a lot of great things. Thanks for your comments. And we got people coming in from different areas of the country. And, always appreciate your comments. If you have questions, feel free to put the question in the chat. We'd be glad to share with Alfa and get her perspective. One of the big things that we look at as well is, and even right now I'm in Savannah at a conference, and one of the big things is the talk about business ecosystems. That you can't be successful by yourself, and really have to create a community and a system that supports entrepreneurship and business success. And how does that figure into Rising Tide Capital? And what is your perspective on the importance of that?
It is everything, Andrew. That ecosystem mindset is everything. That's why, community is in the Community Business Academy. I mean, when we were starting up, people said, oh, that's too long. Community Business Academy, just call it a business academy. And we're like, it's a non-negotiable. It's the most innovative thing. I think a lot of currently what needs to shift and how even higher ed and business schools across the country, and I know you're at the university EDA conference, Andrew, it's our mindset has to shift around business, not just for the benefit of the world or just because that is what will serve, but I think even for the sustainability of business owners and entrepreneurs. And that's something that has been at the core of since day one of founding Rising Tide. For us, it's there is absolutely a need to create an ecosystem approach. It's not about competing because there's a larger mission and vision at work here. And for us, success looks like inclusive entrepreneurs, inclusive communities of resilient entrepreneurs who are catalyzing an economy that is sustainable and contributes to the thriving of families and neighborhoods everywhere. And to create that, when you think about it, that is about all of the different kinds of supply chains and providers and vendors and all of those folks who are actually in concert and working together and collaborating. That applies to us as a nonprofit. When we started out, we thought, what entrepreneurs need is financial capital. And so we thought we'd be a fund and we called it Rising Tide Capital. But in short order, we realized there were first a number of organizations who are also nonprofits who had a fund, and they were struggling to find entrepreneurs that they could either lend to or invest in. And they were talking about what does readiness look like. And then on the entrepreneur side, we could see that there weren't a lot of places that they could go to actually get the kind of handholding and support and strategic support and coaching and education that meets them where they're at in their neighborhoods, in their communities, nights and weekends when things are accessible to them. And a lot of offerings were either, you're on a university campus and you have to be on a university, or it's 9 to 5. But really, a lot of entrepreneurs are working day jobs and they're trying to start things nights and weekends. And so it's really about designing with the value that you want to create and then building an ecosystem around it. So when we were faced with that realization, we said, well, actually, we don't need to be another fund. We could have set ourselves up as a fund to say, oh, we also do this thing nights and weekends. We're like, there are all these funds that are struggling to find entrepreneurs. And so why don't we actually focus and hone in on the parts that are gaps, that are unmet needs? But then that means partnering and collaborating with all of these different lenders and different groups that do have financial capital and bringing the best of what we have to offer. And, when you have that mindset, this is where it's like for us, it wasn't just about let's activate volunteers to be coaches. It's recognizing the kinds of ecosystem of services that our entrepreneurs needed, meant accountants, lawyers, people who are professional service providers like graphic designers and website builders and people who can be marketing consultants and you name it. And we're like, well, do we want to mobilize volunteers for all of those services to be provided for free? Or would we want to actually contract and support those other professional service providers so they can form relationships and an ecosystem of support? And so as we've also raised, as we fundraise, we go out, we raise money to enable to seed that ecosystem, to contract, for a lot of people, we may be their first contract, to be able to get their foot in the door, to get experience, and then they become part of the ecosystem that supports the growth of local businesses from the ground up. So it's very, very important to take an ecosystem approach and recognize that there are capital providers, there are advisors, there are those focused on, supplier diversity programs, et cetera. We don't have to do it all on our own because that's how we, actually don't meet our goals collectively. We have to take an ecosystem approach. It's more sustainable. and it's more interesting. And I would say it's more fun. So, yeah.
Well, definitely being involved with Rising Tide. Um, you can see at the graduations and at different events people's enthusiasm and their connectedness, and just really how it has positively impacted their lives. And training is important and valuable, but even goes beyond that, which is tremendous. And you know, looking at the time, we always, an hour seems like it's a long time, but we're almost there. So really always want to really wrap up with really three key things that you want people to take away from what we talked about that they can put to work immediately within what they're doing. Um, Take a second to think about it, but definitely it's tremendous to have you on and sharing your story, your expertise, all the great things that you're doing for business owners. If you're interested in participating in Rising Tide Capital, we shared the website. Actually, I'll share it again. Check them out. You can learn more about it, sign up to get assistance or for the Community Business Academy, and really become part of the community. It's a lot of benefits, a lot of great connections, a lot of support, because a lot of times being a business owner can be very lonely. And it's great that you build a community, but also support people, by hiring graduates, maybe getting them their first opportunity to work within their business, or supporting them as they grow. Makes a huge difference. It's made a huge difference for me as well, being able to work with so many business owners and develop relationships, develop skills. So definitely look forward to a lot of great things from Rising Tide. You guys are still continuing to remake each other, remake the organization. I had a chance to participate in some focus groups talking about the future of what the organization's going to do. And, I always say that, running a business is one of the hardest things that you can do. The only thing harder is running a nonprofit, because that's a harder business to run. So I got to give you a lot of really good credit for that. And, we'll take a quick break where people can learn a little bit about, actually, I just finished my new book, the Masterpreneur Playbook. So I'll just show you a quick video about that, and then we'll come back to Alpha, and she can, leave you with a few key things that could be valuable, and that you can really think about and put to work immediately to help you be more successful. Looking forward to it. This is my most recent. It's not even available yet.
Oh, it's not? Okay.
The Masterpreneur Playbook.
Okay.
And really, we talked about is there's 5 steps to growing your business.
Yeah.
And, really laying out what those steps are, but not only what the steps are, how do you transition through them? And, each stage, you have certain things, there's a certain challenge that you have to overcome.
Right.
There's a certain goal you have to achieve.
Right.
There's a certain role you have as a business owner.
Right.
There's a certain structure that you need to have within your business to support that role and move into the next role. So each step, I lay out what those things are.
Wonderful.
Because each one of those has a key skill that you have to have as the business owner. You have to evolve and continually learn, or you're going to get stuck. You can only go as far as you're prepared to take. Welcome back to Leadership Live at 8:05. I'm here with Alpha, CEO of Rising Tide Capital. We've been talking about, helping entrepreneurs and business owners to rise, and the great things that they're doing to make business owners and develop people and the entrepreneurial side of what they're doing. And we covered a lot of valuable information and topics, but really just want to take a second to distill it down to a couple of things that you should definitely take away from what we discussed this evening.
So great question, Andrew, and thank you. And obviously, number one is take the time to take in some information, curated information, whether it's picking up Andrew's book or signing up for one of our programs. I mean, there are a lot of programs out there. So choose wisely, because your time is everything. I think that's number one. It's like manage your time, manage your energy. You have 24 hours, and in the age of COVID, you can't ever take your time on this earth for granted, or your family or your health. And so, manage your energy. Do things that will nourish your capacity to learn, and whether that's going for a run, joining a meditation session. Definitely take that very seriously. So that's number one. And you could always go on Rising Tide, email, say interested in joining resilience practices, and somebody will send you information about our morning meditation sessions or our course at the Community Business Academy. And I would say also just connect and share. Business is all about relationships. Be patient with yourself and with others. There's a lot of people who are inundated and they're busy. They may not be responsive, but know that continuing to reach out, continuing to put yourself out there is very valuable. And do so authentically. Do so as yourself. You don't want to be out there so thin internally. Like, you want to be able to realize this is about mutual exchange of energy. So your life story matters. You matter. You are enough. Don't go out there feeling like, if you don't get that sale, or if you don't get that investment, or that it's a rejection of you as a human. You're infinitely valuable. So just go authentically as yourself, and be very, curious, and remain curious, and connect, and make relationships, and attend new things, and maintain an open-minded, curious mindset. And then the other piece is, certainly from Rising Tide's perspective, it's like it takes two to tango. So we have entrepreneurs who are putting their energy in, but if you happen to be somebody who's working a job and you have some additional capital, this is a time when a lot of people are not traveling as much, or going out to restaurants, or your Uber. You may have more capital than you've ever had before. So consider investing those resources in missions like Rising Tide Capital, where we can then pay for experts and others who can support local entrepreneurs. You can, if you have excess time, if you happen to either be taking a break or not necessarily working full time, but you have extra time, help us amplify our programs, share resources like the Community Business Academy. You can go on Facebook or LinkedIn or Instagram and watch what our team is doing to share out resources, and then share those out with other entrepreneurs that so it can takes a village. And certainly contribute financially, buy locally, buy from the local cleaning companies, and contract locally. My entire life basically is supported by our entrepreneurs, and it gives me such tremendous satisfaction, whether it's maintaining my home, or ordering local food. It's so important. And beyond that, remain open. There is big work ahead of us. The work of taking care of our children, taking care of our elders, but also taking care of our planet is very important. Every single one of us who has breath in our body has something to do, something to give. And so please value yourself appropriately, which is that you are infinitely valuable, but you have things to do, and you can actually think very creatively about how to resource yourself, and being connected, contributing where you can, and learning, and making sure that if you have a dream, that you go for it. Don't give up.
Okay, excellent. So manage your energy, which I need to work on. Connect and share, which is great. As a business owner, your most important job is to market and sell. So you have to connect and share, and generally, you have to get your no's before you get your yes. So you have to be proactive about connecting with people and sharing and understanding that everybody's not going to say yes or say yes the first time, but you can't let that deter you, because if you're passionate about what you do, you have to take the initiative, and by being persistent, that's when you get your opportunities, and then remaining open. There's a lot of opportunities, a lot of things, being flexible so that, you can move forward, be excited about what your potential is, and really, having a business is great, but it's really about having the business enhance your life. And that's, the key. A lot of people never achieve that. But that's sort of why there's programs like Rising Tide, why a lot of people do what they do, like me, because, there's some secrets to being able to do that, and everybody needs help in being able to get there. So thank you so much, Alfa, for taking the time to join us and share some valuable info. It's always a pleasure hanging out with you, and definitely we'll have to have you back again.
Yes, thank you so much. Keep doing what you're doing. We're so grateful for you. We appreciate you. And, yes, manage your energy and get some sleep. Join us on meditations in the mornings.
I might need to do that. I didn't know you guys were doing it, but I may need to do that. So thank you very much. So another great episode, another great guest. And that's what Leadership Live is all about. As a business owner, one of the keys is, you have to be able to lead your organization and move forward. So each week we have different leadership topics and skills and learning opportunities for you as a business owner. We appreciate you tuning in, your comments, your feedback, and really having such great guests that are willing to take the time out of their busy schedule to participate. So this was a great show. Next week we've got another great guest. Next week we have John Webb. He's the CEO and managing partner of Quantum Reach. He's going to be talking about achieving long-term growth and strategies that you can use to do that. So definitely tune in to next Tuesday, every Tuesday, 8 p.m. for Leadership Live at 8:05. And always, appreciate your feedback, comments, and ideas. And, in between, want you to have a tremendous week. And, at the end of the day, as a business owner, the more you know, the faster you're going to be able to grow. Good night.
Thank you for listening to Leadership Live at 8:05, Talking Small Business. Subscribe to our YouTube channel and to the podcast on your favorite podcast platform. Leadership Live is one of the many valuable resources provided through the Small Business Pro University, empowering business owners to learn, profit, and grow. Find out more at sbpro.u.com.